What's good? What's good?
What's up? How you doing?
You were kind of breaking up, Mello, but you leave it somewhere where I can grab it. I don't even know what it is right now.
You always put down.
Oh yeah, put them where they go.
So downstairs, upstairs, and on the floor, right?
Yeah, one in here, one in there, and one here, one there, and then you can leave one downstairs as a station.
Yo, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I'm on the road.
All right. Where you headed?
Ah, say that again.
Where you headed?
To this wildflower farm to pick up two flowers, some perennial crops before
Cool.
before they get sold. Because those are rare.
Okay.
Those rare.
Deani with you?
Oh yeah. Sure.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey,
yo, wait.
I'm doing fairly well today. How are you?
What's that? Tired. Oh, everybody's just, I don't know what's going on. We're just tired.
Mm, I
Tired.
hear that.
Probably the heat.
I hear that as I sip on some coffee.
Uh-huh.
Oh, charger not charging. So I guess we'll just give folks a few minutes to join us. Cynthia's trying to get in. She asked me to send her the link. Nature Boy in the building. What's good, family?
Yes, fully loaded like a baked potato, man. I'm in it to win it.
I hear you. I hear you. Hey, give me a second here.
Thanks for sending that. I'm gonna be off video and on mute a lot just because I'm adding like an event right. Well, I'm at a someone's house right now. I'm at a cookout. but I didn't want to miss it altogether.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you dipping in, peeking in with us and tapping in with us,
ab-
irregardless.
absolutely.
So let's go ahead and get started, y'all. Thanks for being here. It's keeping this momentum going. Um, just want to start with some check-ins as usual. Like what's good? How you feeling? What energy you bringing into our time today? Just a quick check-in. Anything you want to share about how your weekend has gone? Let us get a little quick preview into where you at with it today.
And I'm feeling grateful just to be alive. And the weekend went great. The kids in the farm had a hell of a time. A blast. So, man, still on that high. Yep. Same here. Same here.
Nice. Sad I had to miss it, man.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah,
Right, right, right. Scotty was
Yeah, Scotty
too
rep.
hardy.
Scotty reps.
Yeah, I want to do my check-in real quick, man. I'm feeling good. Yeah, woke up, slept in a little late today. So we got started a little late, got a little extra nap in. So I'm feeling really refreshed. Getting to be outside and not in the office. So I'm feeling really good, really excited for, just being able to move around, man, and kind of get my body uh sweaty and you know what I mean? Like I need that. I feel like I need a little physical exhaustion just to reset myself. So I'm really happy because we ain't had a free day in a while, and my
Nice,
body needs this for sure.
nice, nice. I'll jump in. Man, I'm feeling good today, y'all. It was a rough week. That's why I couldn't make it out Friday. Um, just because yeah, it was a rough week and I was just at capacity, didn't have any spoons, and I didn't want to be up in there. And y'all noticing it, I ain't me. I ain't want y'all to be around me not being me. So I decided to sit out. But yeah, man, just a lot of things transitioning in my world, and trying to figure out what I'm gonna do next, and just to be candid with y'all, because y'all family, like my business Grow Dialogue has just come to like a screeching halt. And I've been seeing it coming for a long time and trying to prevent that from happening. But just the current political climate has really had an impact, just like it has a lot of people doing like soft skill work out there that, kind of fall in that DEI range of work. But also people cutting budgets, but losing funding. I had a client that was under contract for a few more months that was my last like consistent paying client that was sustaining me. Had to back out their contract early um, due to losing funding, and it basically left me like unemployed. So I've been really grappling with that for like the last few weeks and just figuring out what I'm gonna do next. You know what I mean? And but I sit before y'all today, feeling re-energized and optimistic and hopeful based on some conversations I had, and being inspired um, to take an approach to what's next. And I won't get into detail, but I got a way forward. I've been kicking around several ways forward for the last few weeks, some of which screaming and yelling and crying, thinking about maybe having to do like go back and teach in the public school system, which I haven't done since 2012. And I'm just like, man, I just don't fit. I ain't fit then. I can imagine like who I am now. I might not make it like a month up in that space. But anyway, I say all to say it's been a roller coaster for me. Today is good. Today I'm feeling good. I slept well last night. That's also can be a challenge at times, but I slept well last night, and I have a idea that I'm going to pursue for what's next. So I'm feeling optimistic. I know that wasn't short. I said short. My bad, y'all. I want to be honest. I want to give y'all some authenticity this today, though.
Nah, we appreciate it, man. That's what the space is for. Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Like you said, we're family, so yeah, I appreciate you being open to sharing that with us.
No doubt, no doubt. Anybody else want to check in?
I'll check in just really quick. I just want to, I kind of heard, it's a little loud in the background, so I apologize for that. But I just kind of heard somebody mentioning Friday, and it was an amazing time. I had such a great time. I needed that. Sometimes you don't realize what you need till you have it. I needed that. So, and my friend that I brought with me, she's in collectively sustainable too. She just could not stop talking about it. The space, the energy, the vibes, the everything. So even despite my little allergy problems, I didn't let that get me down. I had a great time and I'm just really happy. I feel like I finally found my soul tribe. Took a long time, but I feel like I finally found my soul tribe. And that's like super meaningful to me. And it's like I value you guys like so much because the last, 5 years, losing my husband, losing my mom, like it's a lot of loss, a lot of things happen. And it's like this means a lot to me, like a whole lot more than y'all know.
Love it. Love it. Thanks, Cynthia. Ashley, you got the space to check in?
Hey everybody. Yeah, we had a blast, a good time. Um, yeah, I think that the energy of everybody helped rejuvenate me. And I'm hoping to, have more of those type of events. Me and Lawrence got a lot going on, but just making time for socials and community is important. Because clearly we all on a high. I'm still feeling the high energy too. So it's giving me some, I guess, some kind of clarity, mental space for me to like even focus on what I need to do this week. So yeah, that's about it.
Oh, dopeness, dopeness, dopeness. Love to hear it. Love that y'all got to experience that together. I just got a picture flashback from last year when I was there with y'all. Me and Shani were there, and but definitely look forward to more social opportunities to connect. In the near future. So yeah, y'all, we let's jump into it. So, where we left off, if y'all remember, we worked on, phase one, and we came up with, and articulated and named our matter of fact, let me drop this in the chat. I'm gonna drop the doc in the chat that I'm working through. So it's the Steward Group phases doc that I'm looking at. And we got into alignment on the approach that we want to take in terms of our business model slash fundraising economic model. And in the meantime, well, also moving forward, we started talking about phase two, which is the legal framework, the personnel needs, the governance, onboarding, conflict resolution. This is a really broad-reaching phase. A lot has been said in that. And but we organized these phases together in one of our previous meetings. We also um, we finalized for now our culture statement and our shared values. And we went through that in the last session. We finalized our shared values, and we came to agreement on collective care, sacred ecology, authentic dialogue, liberation, adaptable, and joy as being our shared values. And yeah, so we've been making some covering some good ground, y'all, and getting things done together. And let's see, anybody else want to say anything about any of that before we talk about where we are now? All right. Oh, hold on. Kenesha's trying to connect to Zoom for whatever reason. Let me see. I don't see a request. Let me send her the link. Everyone, y'all got y'all link from, did y'all get it from Heartbeat for those who got in, or did you get it from the calendar invite?
I got it from a calendar invite.
Let me make sure I got everybody in there. Who should be in there? Kenesha is in there, but she didn't accept. Okay. Uh, Cynthia, I gotta put you in there. So I have your email. Yes, affirmlifedaily@gmail. All right, I gotta add you to the calendar invite so that doesn't happen again. I'm sorry, let me just do that real quick.
And also, we had a couple other members show interest in the meeting, but I let them know like they had to go through the procedures before and become a steward to be able to be allowed in. So just look for that in the next probably 2 or 3 weeks. We'll probably have a couple more families coming in.
That's a bet, man. That's a bet. So you laid out what that looked like and everything. And again, I keep asking, like, where is, if someone's like, what do I need to be a steward? Is that like, boom, point them here? Is that already like, where's the best
Yeah,
place
very,
for them to see
very
that
much
laid out?
so. So if it basically that's basically in the, I don't know if it's labeled how do I get started or how do I, it's the first course or how to get involved with your hyperlocal food system, something like that. It's the first course that people are instructed to take after their initial kind of contact in the community. It walks
Okay.
them
Yeah,
all
I
the
think
way
it's
through
in
it.
the how we get started one.
How we get started. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Peace,
Cool.
y'all.
Peace, Kanisha. Can you go
What's
ahead and
going
check
on? What's
in? How
going
you
on?
feeling? How you, what's your energy you bringing into our time together today?
Oh, I am bringing in an abundance of unconditional love. Like this weekend from being with the fam Friday, we had a ball and camping and just navigating dialogue and conflict in the ways that we have. I'm just feeling an abundance of unconditional love today. Camping was really, really beautiful and just showed me what's possible because at the land that we, anyway, I'm stop here.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All
And
right.
I'll be
So,
home shortly.
all right. Okay. So again, we're on phase two, y'all. So in terms of the legal framework, we talked about Collectively Sustainable Village is a grassroots collective fiscally sponsored by Grow Dialogue Communities 501c3 when necessary. Just a heads up, I'm going to be changing the name of Grow Dialogue Communities to Grow Sustainable Communities so that it ties it, it's more ties into everything that's coming next for me, including collectively sustainable and village planning. And so I'm going to change that to grow sustainable communities. So it's going to be, it's going to be a smooth little transition when folks want to, if folks who need that tax write-off want to give us money for collectively sustainable village, they're giving it to grow sustainable communities. That's what we're going to be doing, right? So yeah, so the next thing that we have on the list is personnel needs. So we have personnel needs, onboarding, conflict resolution, and governance. So, and we talked about we're going to just tap in one by one and just keep discussing these things. So the way I understand personnel needs is, with starting this village, there's certain people that have there's certain skill sets that are going to be needed to set a strong foundation. So is that something y'all feel like we can do today and kind of flesh out? I know Lawrence and Ashley, y'all have thought through this in depth. It might be something you're like, nah, we already got it. It's written down. Or do we want to go ahead and take some time to think out loud on this together?
I think it have more value if we think out loud. We can kind of present some of the framework of what we already came up with, but I think, we're in a new space,
Hmm.
new dimension.
Hmm.
Let's go ahead and like walk it through again just to make sure
Cool.
everybody's aware.
Cool. All
I'm
right, y'all. So
definitely
let's,
for the external processing too.
okay.
I thought you were asking everybody. My bad.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Your feedback is welcome as well. Um, all right. Anybody else want to say anything else? All right. So personnel needs, y'all. So when we think about this, let's go ahead and throw out some initial thoughts on those foundational needs, kind of that first wave of collaborators, first wave of the collective that's going to go into this village when we hit the go button and we're like, okay, the funding has been secured. I'm sorry, even before then, but like as we're in the process of continuing to build this thing out together, and we probably will get to a point where we have all the framework and all the necessary foundational things done through this process we're going through now. And then we're going to have to be more intentional, the same way that we're raising money and we're doing presentations to do that. We're going to be doing presentations to, you know, um, recruit, to invite people with certain skill sets. So yeah, what are those skill sets that is going to be needed? So yeah, let's just jump in. Who wants to go first and throw some ideas out? I'm going to be typing them.
So when I started thinking about the constructs, it's a lot of things that came up, like how we were going to live. It was a lot of big questions that came up that still were like X factors. But I kind of put those to the side and just thought about a sustainable community in general. And I think the first ones we had were uh, farmer, right? For sure. It was
Right.
two positions for a farmer. So I kind of created the framework based off a 5 acre plot, right? Every 5 acres, you need this many personnel to get the infrastructure created for that 5 acres, right? Not necessarily in a sustainable mechanism, but just the infrastructure alone. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So per 5 acres, you want me to go ahead and it'll be valuable to go ahead and say two farmers, just to give us some type
Yes.
of metric. Okay.
Yeah. So two farmers. I got a carpenter, and this is all up just my suggestions, y'all. So feel free to kind of
Yeah,
chime
yeah.
in.
When you're done, we'll
Two
just fill in.
farm, two farmers, one carpenter, one handyman, like all around kind of jack of all trades guy. Um, and then the fifth one, I believe, was someone who could preserve food, or like an herbalist or something like that, in that spectrum of preservation. Um, I might be a little loose on the fifth one, but I think that's where we can kind of chime in as well. But those are like, that's the bare bones,
Okay.
like bare bones.
All right. So I got two farmers, one carpenter, one handy person, two food person preservationists, one food preservationist.
Yeah. So I was the first 5 people.
All right. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and say, and do you have a total amount of people that 5 acres you had in
Uh,
mind would be on those 5 acres?
it depends on how we set things up, but I think for 5 acres, I don't have an exact number. Um, I think we had something to where it was like a quarter acre per household, something like that. But then a certain space secure for nature, and like still like, I think it was some kind of scenario where it was like 40 to 60%. 60% we leave alone to be a
Hmm.
natural habitat, and 40% could be used or touched by us.
Right.
Something to that regiment. So I guess if I could do the math, that's like almost 50-50. So 2.5, let's just say 2.5 acres. If
Hmm.
everybody got a half an acre, that's two, four,
Five,
five families.
five
So
families.
5 families.
And the family says two to what? 2 to 5 in your mind? The way you're thinking about it?
Yeah, two to five personnel per family.
All right. So that's like 10 to 25 people then.
Correct.
Okay.
And that, no, go ahead, go ahead.
All right. So the way I'm thinking about it, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in there. You already know I gotta put my name in the hat and what I do. I'm gonna say like one conflict resolution facilitator for this many people. Anybody jump on in, y'all? Anybody got what y'all feeling? 10 to 25
I was
people.
thinking like some type of somebody with medical training or like a nurse or something like that.
Okay.
Mhm.
One medic slash first aid trained, first aid personnel, nurse slash nurse.
I was thinking, like we're really getting connected to the land, but I also think we need like a technologist, someone who's tech savvy. Um, and I also, of course, think we are going to be in need of like childcare specialists, people who are like interest-led specialists, um, supporting children like one-on-one, like with their like individual plans. So like I think a ratio of like 1 to 8
Hmm.
of people who are intentional with children.
Okay. So that would be let's see, three. So three childcare specialists. And I'm thinking like, are you thinking like if we're going to be facilitating some type of, unschooling, homeschooling, self-directed type program, these are these people?
Yeah, I'm thinking like yeah, per
I think you're breaking up, Kenesha, but I got three of those based on the five acres, 10 to 25 people. Anyone got any questions about that? Is that making sense? Feeling in alignment? Did we lose
I
Mel and Deani? Oh no, there you are. My bad. I was looking on my screen. I didn't see y'all, but I see you now. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ashley.
I think it's important. I think if we're doing a plot of 5 families, I just doing education. I do agree that it will be 8 kids per educational specialist. But I also think that it's important that each educational specialist has a secondary skill. So, like for the community, we're actually going to need somebody to do food preservation. So, I think it's important for the educational specialist to also be skilled in like preservation or some type of animal husbandry or something like that. Just because uh, you know, we don't homeschool every day. Not a lot of homeschoolers homeschool every day. So I think
Mhm.
it's really important for, I think it's important for a lot of the members to have more than just one skill set, like at least 2 to 3, but especially for educational specialists, even if you're working with children. So I do agree, but I also agree that they should come with another skill set.
Okay. I agree. And the way I'm thinking about this is after we name everything, then we can start like one, just putting our names in the places. And I already know that several of us are going to cross over multiple of these. But that's something we can explicitly name is that for that initial group in, we need people that have at least can fit in like two boxes. You know what I mean? Like two of these slots, at least as a minimum. Um, So how's that feel? Does that feel in alignment to go ahead and write that out? That as we come up with these personnel needs with the initial group in, we need for any of the initial wave in, they have to fulfill two or more personnel needs? Or does that feel wrong to anyone? We're talking about Kanisha just walked in, so I'm just telling her we're talking about should we say that people have to fill more than one need? Because Ashley was talking about saying that childcare specialists should have other skills as well, because most people who are homeschoolers, unschoolers, that's not something you're doing every day in a certain way. Um, depending on the age of the young people, but it's going to be, learning is going to be immersive in this space. Learning is going to be happening every day in every way. And I think a lot of us, a lot of people that's going to be going into this space are going to be adopting more of that natural learning, immersive learning from your culture and community, et cetera. So that just brought to mind for me. I was already thinking that, a lot of folks was going to probably have to do more than one thing anyway. And I was like, should we name that explicitly or just kind of let it happen organically? Is Because because we all got multiple skill sets. Even if we're not operating in our preference thing, we all still have like things that we can contribute to, even if it's not like our main, you know, gift.
Right.
And you can do
Like
that,
my
and then
backup, let me
sorry.
is I'm in the room with some so I'm moving to another room. But my go-to for like outside of childcare is like I love to just support with like handiwork. I can be a worker bee if I'm in the flow with other people who are doing things and who can just let me know how I can support. So like I feel that like, a lot of us will need, to be able to do multiple things. So yeah, just agreeing.
All right.
Yeah, and I was going to say that I don't think that it has to be anything that's explicitly labeled right now. Just
Okay.
understanding that, you're definitely going to have to wear multiple hats.
Okay.
Yeah, and also I just wanted to center that back around into I don't remember if we concluded on the type of framework. I know like maybe the time before the last. I think Deidre was on the line, and we were talking about the type of way we wanted to make money or sustain. And I don't know if agro-tourism was the thing that we selected, but if we did, I'm just going to go through like we did. So that framework of agro-tourism and basically living off the land, the whole thing was like everybody was supposed to pour into the land in a certain capacity. Everybody's supposed to grow food at a certain capacity. And then those two farmers grew the food that was going to be for like the staple crops, the potatoes, corn, whatever the thing was, but everybody was still going to be like instructed to kind of grow food, herbs, tomatoes, peppers, all that stuff on their small plot of land in accordance with the sustainability metrics. So um, just that off the bat means that we're going to be doing multiple things. Like everybody's going to have to be like, and that's kind of what I've been trying to get away from too, right? The farmer aspect is really like we'll say lead grower, not farmer, right? Because everybody's going to have to grow. It might just be somebody who knows a little bit more in depth of how to do it and can instruct other people or aid them, but everybody's going to have to participate in growing food. So everybody's going to have to be a steward, first and foremost. And then a lot of those other things, um, I think that, we'll just have to have them in a structure of best, or most needed, you know what I mean? Most needed. And then if somebody who can grow and can do these things, we'll probably select them first. If we're dealing with 5 acres and the first 5 families, we're going to have to pick the ones that are the strongest suited to tackle that environment or that phase of the plan or build at that time. And then we can open the doors up a little bit wider and then allow more people to come in. But I think to have them actually named, like, hey, I'm so and so, and I can do solar, I can do this, I can do this, and I can do this. Been doing it for this many years, and here's my proof of execution. This is how I live right now. I'm saying we're going to probably be selecting those type of people, especially if they're already immersed in the culture of the community and they're in alignment with us. So I think having those things, and I don't want to say it like a value system, but to be frank, we have to understand that again, when you're talking about living off the land, it's just something that you have to really make quantifiable. Like we've been doing it for a while and having people. I was just talking to Miss Bernice the other day about how much we value her because she's one of the first people that came in and really, really, really had the skills. Like it wasn't just talk, or it wasn't just the desire to learn. It was like she really had did the work, and it's felt because we really get a reprieve. And this life is not the most difficult, but it's not easy sometimes. And I think to actually have those skills inputted when it comes to like really working with the land and living off the land, they have to be quantified as well. Just because somebody has to build the framework for the sustainability, and the first ones on
Did
the
you
ground.
name specific skills already? I might have missed them for a second. Did you name some new ones?
Um, no. That was just so we're adding the new ones now. I'm just saying that like
You were talking about
everything
in the
we're
past how
naming.
you thought about it globally is what you're saying.
In the past, I was talking about more so the 87 acres in Sparta,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we're So that's kind of where I'm pulling from. So I still have that framework too. I still have it drafted and everything. And I glanced at it earlier today, and I glanced at it last week, trying to really see how everything could fit in here. Um, but yeah. It was the same things I just said, plus authentic dialogue or conflict resolutionist. But that's when I was kind of saying that it might be that multiple people have to wear the hats. And then the
Right.
conflict resolution concept is like everybody should be able to facilitate an authentic dialogue as well as participate. So to even get in this community, you should have those skills available to you. And then that person who's still the go-to person, hey, we got a real problem here. We got to escalate it to
Mhm.
some that person. Again, like we said about childcare, they might not have to be activated all the time. So Sunjata might have to also be the marketing guy because that's still important for the first five. You know what I mean? So how we're approaching it, we can't just think of it in practicum as far as growing off the land. We have to think like, oh, we're marketing this. This is a movement. We have to have somebody who goes out and does outreach with folks who can fund. So it's like it's a lot more sticky than we're kind of making it right now. I think the first five can be the physical first five, but the next two might need to be somebody who have more dexterity, other than just electricians or carpenters. You know what I mean? So we might have to just run it all the way through. That's why I'm still listening to people say things because a teacher, we gonna have 20, all these people. Yeah, we need teachers. I didn't think about that. Um, so it's kind of like we're putting everything on the wood right now, and we might have to revisit what the planning phase looked like. We might have to revisit how we set up. It might not need to be a quarter of an acre. Maybe we can live smaller, right, and have a bigger communal food base. So those things can be added in as far as like a computable value to then make more space for other people.
All right. So one thing new that I pulled out of that was like a marketing person, marketing, fundraising. Um, what about like what about like a lead like cook for communal meals? Like, or let me just say that out loud. One of the things that I think about is, well, let me say it. When I was studying One World Global's plans, there's 7 communities. Everything is built around communal eating spaces. How are y'all thinking about that? I personally am thinking, that's going to be one of the ways that we keep the living spaces even smaller, is if we have communal eating space, like a communal eating space or multiple communal eating space, but a main hub, like a communal eating space. Um, so I think that, and then like for folks, yeah, I just don't think this is me. I'm thinking out loud. I'm not saying it's end all be all, but I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, we don't necessarily need full kitchens in each like sleeping dwelling. Um, is there anyone that's not aligned with in any way? Because that's going to inform my next statement around like some kind of like, food organizational type people. Because when you're feeding lots of folks, that's a whole gift and skill.
And that's what I was saying before, like the educators could be double skilled because I would lean heavy on the food preservationists to also be the ones who opt into rotating into I guess the cooks,
Cooks.
the kitchen alchemists.
Okay.
Same, like as a, homeschooling mommy and facilitator, like I want to cut vegetables. Like I just want to have a place where I can be cutting up some vegetables. So it's fun for me, especially to have support.
Cool, cool. Is there anyone who wasn't thinking that way or want to say anything like where you have a different idea around communal eating space?
Oh, the only thing in addition to what you said, because I agree with everything you said, Sanjata, I think like maybe an outdoor, like fire type kitchen spaces too. Um, some type of primal kitchen spaces could be fun to add to
Definitely.
cooking spaces.
All right. So it seems like we're all on board with the idea that we're going to be having communal eating spaces. So I have one communal kitchen cook slash alchemist. Um, you know, again, we're talking about for the 5 acres for the 10 to 25 people. And of course, you know, we would all support where needed, but that one person, that's their thing. They're thinking about the numbers of all of it all and et cetera, like the practical, you know, practicality of it all.
I think that might be a little light. Thinking practical. One cook for 25.
That's too many. I mean, that's too
That
little. Maybe
way
two,
too many.
we need
That
two,
yeah, that's
we need a
way too
kitchen
little. So we
cook
need probably
alchemist.
Yeah.
like three.
You
Three
think
Mm-hmm.
three?
alchemists. Yeah. And
Okay.
maybe it's a two to one rotation. Two work one and rotate one got to that. Something like that. It had to be something
Okay.
practical like that.
Okay. All right. So three. Okay. Three
Mm-hmm.
per 25, 10 to 25 folks. All right. What's another role?
Did we have, well, you said handyman, but did you say like builders? Would that be the same thing? Builders,
We
we
got carpenter.
carpenters.
Carpenter
We
is
Yeah.
got
one person.
we got the carpenter first. That's the builder, and then the handyman is kind of like the assistant. So if the
Okay.
carpenter needs help, he can do that. But if handyman, I think of like 10-man tool, uh, 10-man tool. Lord, tool the 10. Lord, why can't I
Damn.
say it right?
I know what you're
Tim, the
talking about.
tool man. Yeah, thank you, Lord. But yeah, it's like he can fit both hats, but he's more so of a handyman. He can kind of fall behind the plumbers. He can do it himself, but it might take him a little longer. But he's very skilled in all departments, plumbing, electric. He's an all-around guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
phone
so
died.
Have a position that I think we should consider. I think we should have somebody that trains for defense. And we have to have some type of combat or defense team already ready. So maybe a physical fitness instructor slash weapons trainer or somebody posted on each of those plots just in case something goes down.
yeah, I like that.
I'm sorry, Mello. So I heard I was moving over when Kenesha was coming to join me here, and I missed some of that. Did I hear physical fitness or did weapons? Did I hear something about weapons and training? What did I hear?
Yeah, basically someone that basically a head of defense. So we should have like a defense team, and on each of those acres have probably about 2 to 3. Everybody should, of course, want to learn how to defend themselves, but of course we'll have. I think we'll have an advantage if we have somebody to like really lead us and to keep us, well trained
Okay. Yeah.
for the situations.
Yeah. I love that idea too. Like that everybody's learning self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So head of self-defense. So got that. So one head of self-defense.
Can we keep going?
Anyone else?
I think counselors, people to support and hold space for people. Um, should we change the name to something different? Just us learning how to hold space for one another. But
So we have one conflict resolution facilitator
I think that's good
slash
from like someone who just needs
Holder.
processing, right? People who need
processor.
processing.
Okay.
So space holders, intuitive counseling.
Yeah.
And then I also think sacred ceremony holders, like I'm recognizing like my love for ceremony. So people who can like facilitate that ceremony, people who can pop off the vibe, like the girls from the kickback the other night. You know, get us grounded into our breath and centered into the earth, like people who can facilitate that type of alchemy.
Ashley.
That's important also. But I think starting off, like our main, how we're getting things off the ground, I think we could start with conflict resolution facilitators. And then, those type of people will come in, but I think to set the framework and the groundwork, we can, personally, I think we could start with conflict resolution facilitators, which I think.
So my thought is I want us to go ahead and be ambitious. Like,
I'm thinking
I think when we think about the wholeness of what our culture statement is, you know what I mean? Like, and the idea that we will have everything we need. I think that it's a good thing to call out personally, like someone who's has capacity and is like the way I wrote it was like emotional well-being space holder, because that is a skill set. And and I think that person will have a bunch of other skills in that domain of being able to like just be able to reflect back what they're hearing to the person and just kind of serve that space of just that person that's gifted and holding space for people, helping them move through things because we're human. And when we get together in this type of environment, I think we need to cover both building up like physical spaces, but also making sure we're building up each other and that as well in the same way.
Yeah. Also, I like
I
to
have a
add in
role
too.
title.
Go ahead, Deanna.
That was the um what we used to call when I was a school social worker in the school system added a role called a mental health and wellness facilitator, and they kind of helped to they were that safe space for the kids when the social worker couldn't really see kids, throughout the day when we had other like well, hold that space for the kids to help give them tools to get them through those hard days or just that those safe space holders, and they help to establish a wellness culture school building too, through various activities. So that could fall under what you were talking about, Kanisha, the sacred ceremony holders, and those safe space holders can fall under something like that.
Yeah. And when I think about the resilience that, we want to build up, Lawrence, like, we were touching on, I do think resilience is important. And I think a lot of times those who have built lean into least resilience is because they don't have like space holders. So that things get some people who need more external processing get more bottled inside internally and then they're on loops. And then you can cause that freeze cycle that we learned about in nonviolent communication if that person's not there. And I think that space holder is what will be able to keep the movement moving for people who, get more bogged down in their head. I think the space holder is what will be able to keep us balanced and integrating that physical action and grip that we need with the emotional and mental capacity that we need.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what I was going to touch on is basically like the first five families are like it's a small scale to kind of work with because realistically that means the first five families going to be on 5 acres, but we're not buying 5 acres. Like we're not looking at anything under 50. So that's 25 families now. So that's 25 different positions, or you know what I mean? So if we just come up with the concepts of the positions that we need, it could be 50 positions, but now we can say, okay, we have space for 25 adults, and here's how many things can you check off this list, and then that's
Right.
when we start to pull in people. So yeah, I think again, like y'all said, and echoing that, like yeah, we got to think even bigger. Like 50 acres might be too small. We might need to be thinking like, how will we manage a small town? Who's gonna be the barber? You know what I mean? Like small, like things like that. Like we might need to open up that parameter. But I think just starting off with the first five in a real specific physicality, I think we have that, and then now we're just building out from there. Because yeah, I think all the intricate pieces are what we're kind of going over and not really identifying with the value of the counselor or the person to hold the space for the kids or the medicine woman, you know what I mean? So yeah.
So with all that feedback, Ashley, do you have another perspective based on what you were bringing forward? Do you think that makes sense and you can rock with it?
I need to think bigger, and y'all doing it for me. So I'm here.
Okay.
I'm rocking with y'all.
Okay, cool. So that made me think about physical fitness as well. Like we need somebody that's going to be that physical fitness person, yoga, yogi, slash just movement, person that's going to be like holding space for that. And I already know like a lot of this is going to be, we've already said a lot of this, the same person is going to be able to hold a lot of these things, so we know that's going to happen.
And teach them too. Someone who can also teach these things.
Sacred ceremony holders, everybody vibing with that? You understand what Kenesha was trying to come across? Okay. Anything else that's not here on the list that anybody wants to name? I guess I have a question, Lawrence. When you mentioned carpenter, but then also you said electrician and plumber. Are you thinking the carpenter holds all those skills? Are we saying someone that kind of holds all those skills, or we need to name those things too?
No, we probably definitely need to name those as well, depending on how we plan to live. So if we're talking about solar, we definitely would need an electrician or somebody who's a little bit more in depth of knowledge with kind of constructing a battery bank. Yeah, like plumber, if we're catching rainwater and stuff like that, and we're filtering it out, so we might not need a master plumber, but we might need somebody who's knowledgeable, more like an engineer would be more effective than a plumber if we're, kind of.
That's what I'm thinking. Think off grid. Everything that we got, we're gonna do is off grid.
Yeah.
So we got. Should we say like off? How do we? Because how do you name that? Whether we choose,
Yeah.
containers or whatever, is like coming up with those off-grid capacities, the gray water tank to the black water tank to the plumbing system like that. Because I know there's composting toilets, but I also know there's off-grid things where it's flushable toilets into a black water tank that then can be composted using worms and like it's all these technologies out there now. I guess. How do we name it? Because all of us are going to have to start learning some of this stuff, or there'll be some of us who will naturally gravitate towards it. But like, what do we need? I guess that's what the carpenter type people, carpenter, handy person, those are the type of people that's going to be gravitating towards like that hands building, creating stuff. They're going to be like taking on a wide range of those type of things, right?
Yeah, because basically you need like one engineer, right? Because the carpenters and people like that who are good with their hands, sometimes they can't think of the project. So if you can get the thought process through and you can put it on paper, they can say, "Oh, okay, I can do that." So that's kind of
architect. Or is one in the same the way you're thinking about it? Is it a type of
no
engineer that we want to name?
Yeah, I just put a sustainability, a green, sustainability engineer.
How about like eco living engineer?
Eco living engineer, yeah, eco living engineer.
All right. I'm sure somebody out there be like, yo, how you know that's what I call myself?
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I call myself.
Yeah, and you know what? I missed one was on our list before. I never put it on a physical list on type it, but somebody who is like a forager, someone who can really like that's really strong when you're living off the land. Somebody who know the plants. So aside from just herbalism, more like just foraging in general, the mushroom person, the person who knows this tree is this and that tree is that, and being able to identify them is really important as well.
So did we name that environmentalist?
I would say a forager, literally.
Forager?
Yeah, because environmentalists, a lot of people, no, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I say forager. Just keep it small.
I'm thinking, I'm still thinking like the joy part, like we gonna work. I'm still thinking the joy part. So I'm thinking like music, so people, do we want like artists, creatives, like we want to intentionally attract that, into our community? Yeah, I think so.
So let's name that, because I feel like this is something that is going to be one of those skills that it's going to cross over. Like there's going to be some of us that may be the carpenter that also might be the artist,
Bingo.
But what type of art? Like, what are we saying? Like somebody beautification? Can we say like beautification specialist? Is that what that's something I think about when I think about art and creativity. Someone who's going to make our space look beautiful and like have the eye for beautifying our living spaces, bringing all that together.
When I hear art, I thought music.
I was thinking that too, but then he also brought up another aspect, like both and like the artistry of the land. I like beautiful spaces.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and say musician.
The feng shui.
So one musician. Do we want to say one visual artist, like or like a landscape artist, or
Landscape artist, visual artist.
like what type of artist are we talking about?
We just want art, like people who are creatives. Like, can we just put creatives?
I feel like I want to be specific
Can we
though.
put creatives and then put like
Parentheses.
in parentheses, like name the different styles of creativity that we would love to see brought forth into the community?
So
Cultural art specialist,
I like that, Mellow.
name that again.
something like that.
Art specialist.
Cultural art.
Yeah.
Cultural art. You know what's the thing, what I'm talking about? Beautification, is that a thing? Can I
I
just say
like
that?
that. That's actually what I name
I
it.
mean, it just, everybody has their own eyes to see
Yeah.
beauty. Like me, I'm more like when I sit out here, this is beautiful. It don't get no better than this, but I like this style of beauty. Some people might like mulch paths and this color mulch over here and brown here and everything. So it just depends on folks, different styles of decor. But so that's really broad. But
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to name somebody who does landscaping. If we're all going to be stewards, we might just put our own effort into making our little plot of land. You know what I mean? What we're stewarding over can be a reflection of how we feel
Sure.
artistically.
True.
Yeah, that's how they were. That's how it was at the community I just came from. Like each plot person had their own decorative like land. It was so dope.
Were you in Atlanta?
Yeah, well, we were in Cleveland, Georgia. Remember I said I was going to
Oh,
Cleveland.
Cleve. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, gotcha.
I still think that even in addition to that, right, there would be someone who's going to steward the common spaces. And that might rotate. I imagine that'd be a rotating type role. You know what I mean? But someone and I don't know, maybe we don't got to name it. Maybe that's something that each of us can probably take and put our own spin on it at any time. But I just wanted to name like just that beautification, that design, designer, creator. We just need creatives, and I think that'll emerge. So cultural art, beautification, designer, creatives. You think you need to put anything else in that parentheses so someone can see and be like, yeah, that's me? Or those three things cover it. Architect, maybe.
I
I'll
like
put
that.
architect as well.
Architect. And I don't think we have to name musician as one. I think that's also something that'll naturally emerge. Like I even think that a lot of us have like an inner like musician in us. Like when we get in community, we gonna be
I mean, I'm bad at karaoke, but I can get out there and belt for
that's
y'all.
musician. That's entertainment.
I don't mind naming it though, because I don't mind naming musician, comedian, like storyteller, like
Storytelling,
those type of
definitely.
artists. So let me just, how about we put all of those as artists, and then we just put it in parentheses as well.
Especially storytelling. Storytelling, poetry.
What else did we say? Musician, storyteller, poet. What else?
Yeah, I think like what Mello was saying with just cultural arts, like a department, it kind of sums everything up because and it's evolving as well, right? As we create more of our culture and get rooted in more of our culture, some other art forms might pop up. And it leaves enough room for interpretation to kind of sink in because art doesn't need to be defined,
True.
right? So we just say cultural artists. Yeah, it could be somebody who stack up rocks. You know what I mean? Or we're like, damn, that's a good ass stack of rocks, man.
Right.
What I did was put musician, storyteller, poet, etc. in parentheses next to cultural artist.
Like kind of like performing artists.
Yeah. So I think that all of that is encompassed in the cultural artist lane. Okay. And then we also got the creatives, the beautification, the designer, space creatives, something like that.
What about like our attire? Like I believe we're aiming to be minimalist. And there's still some of us who like, certain style or whatnot. So what about like seamstress, and I have a idea to do like clothing swaps to keep like fashion eco-friendly. So what about something in that realm? seamstress, so we can like also get like our attire out away from the system as well.
No, absolutely. That's definitely something to add on. Like, yeah, definitely. For 100% sure.
Yeah,
And I
even
think that's one we can name, but I think it's going to be definitely something that somebody it's attainable enough for somebody to have two hats and also be that person at, if the capacity presents itself.
Right. But if there's like a team, and that's their work and what they're doing and what they want to focus on, I think it's space for that too. If that's
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If it's quantifiable. So yeah, I think
that's going to
all.
be one. I think that's something that I think it's good to have like a seamstress on deck to start, but I think the plan around clothing is like that's a whole meeting. Like how we
Yeah.
transition away from,
from
because I think it's going to be a transition. I don't think that's something that's going to be able to like
Right.
come into self-sustainability right from jump,
Mm-hmm.
or collective sustainability right from jump, because it's going to take some
Right.
machinery and other investments.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be the holding of another community that pops up.
Right.
And that's what they do. They're that community.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's because that's how I've been holding that in my brain so far, is that that I'm thinking about partnerships as well as a part of this whole thing. And but yeah, we can, again, I feel like that's a meeting within itself. But someone that can repair the stuff that we already have so that we don't got to keep buying stuff. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So seamstresses for that type of thing and add to, I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
I think I have two others. I know this kind of intuitive sense. I don't even need, but I think we should have people that know how to hunt. Because when it does get cold outside, we're gonna need some fur.
You said know how to hunt?
Yeah, hunters. Yeah. Because when it get cold outside, we're gonna need some fur to keep us warm, or some animal hide to keep us warm.
Okay.
And also people that know how to make hygiene products, hair, soap, deodorant.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That nature.
Right.
Cleaning products.
So what we call that? Natural product makers, skin and body.
Yeah.
I wonder, could that be a subset under like holistic care for like medicine, like for herbalism and no.
Yeah. I'm saying it's like maybe that's gonna be a both and person, but I think it's okay to say it. And then again, that person that takes it on might be like, I'm that, and that. Husbandry. I didn't put that, but that's one we need, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
One husbandry person.
Do we have mechanic?
We need mechanic.
Oh, we didn't have mechanic either. Yep.
Husbandry is the processing of the animals, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily husbandry. Husbandry is more so taking care of the animals. The
Okay.
one who, like, in between event, right? The person who really understands the rhythm of the animals, know when they sick, what to treat them with. That's more like animal husbandry.
Okay, so we need that person, right? Definitely, because we're gonna have
I think
we think that's
that
the head grower.
yeah, it's like the farmer is typically going to take care of the animals too. They'll probably instruct some people on how to do things, but the farmer should probably be the one who can handle the husbandry aspect as well, at least the facilitation of the framework. But yeah.
Okay, so basically where I had before two lead growers / farmers, you want me to go ahead and say / husbandry?
Yeah, you can put that too.
So we hoping that person or those people have those three skills. Okay.
And yeah, because that's something where the kids can help as well. That's how we run the farm here. So a lot of the duties as far as husbandry get done by the children. So that's a part of their curriculum, right?
Okay.
Learning the native plants, all those things can be just that kind of job can get kind of pushed off to other people.
So what about the butcher? What about the person processing? Is that a role that we need to name?
That could be like Mello just said, the hunter, right? They're probably the ones who can process as well. Typically, the farmer who raises the person who does the husbandry can possibly be the one who processes as well. So I don't think we need to name that person. I think it's going to naturally evolve.
Is butcher and processor the same name? Mean the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So just you want me to write down processor or butcher? Do you do it?
Processor. I like processing better than butchering.
Hunter /
Just the nomenclature.
natural skin and body. care. I feel like Mello, you said one other one when you after Hunter. What was it?
I was saying like just natural
Soap
products.
maker. Yeah.
Oh, I already got it. The natural products. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, like document. I don't know if this falls under marketing, but I'm thinking more less for marketing and more for like documentation of our lives, like being in the present moment, but it being like recorded and photograph or documentation of
Yeah.
the way that this living is transitioning and shifting paradigms and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that. So someone who
Audio
is not
visual.
like, oh, do this for the camera, but you know, the
Just air
audio
capture.
visual, just capturing the
Would
moment.
would that fall under the arts? Because that's like an art, right?
Photography,
More than anything.
videography.
I feel
Right.
like
Yeah.
yes. You know what? I feel like yes, but I also feel like we need an element of that for the marketing, the business side of it as well.
Yeah.
In terms of us doing more so, the storytelling aspect of us storytelling outward to continue to bring funding in, as well as to inspire and teach other people who are coming behind us.
Mhm.
So kind of like that audio visual external marketing. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of like what we already started with what we're doing this and how we're doing this out loud, even though we're not streaming this live because we're on Zoom. Um, Typically I've been sharing the Zooms only to us, but I could share this out to the larger group and on I'll put it on I'll make it public on YouTube as well, since we're not streaming live today.
Mhm.
So folks could still be following our process.
You sure how this works?
I had a quick, I'm sorry.
I was thinking of
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just thinking of what y'all were just talking about as far as people kind of document things. I was thinking of it almost like our own media,
mm,
like a media person, like we could have our own like newsletter or newspaper or whatever, where we could, share what's going on in all the communities with each other, kind of like media, take pictures and share stuff like that.
mhm.
Yeah, one audio
Yeah.
visual marketing, let's say one media
Media specialist.
specialist
And along this
for documentation and sharing.
mhm. Along this realm, I'm thinking of like researchers. Like I feel like this work heals the world. So I'm like thinking of researchers to document like that difference and capturing like the 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 transition, capturing the difference and like living in one paradigm and the other and how it heals ourselves and the earth.
Thing that could be like somebody who visits, because at the base of it, it's supposed to be agro-tourism. So people coming in could be those researchers. I don't think we need to actually have space for them in the community because I think that's going to be even more wide felt if we got different people coming in and doing research on, look at this, and taking it back to their smaller communities or their
That's
network. So, yeah.
I think what Kanisha's speaking to as well is something that it kind of falls in line with what we're talking about. The audio visual external marketing, the media specialist for documentation and sharing. I think within that, it'll accomplish what you're talking about, which is like that research piece that we can get, those people can get into the minutia of this is the impact we're making. This is how many people we're feeding. This is how many conflicts are being resolved. This is how, an amazing tale of how we're governing collectively. And I think
people are loving themselves more,
yeah,
supporting each other when
yeah,
somebody
that's
does
storytelling.
yeah. Mhm.
So let's say for documentation, sharing, and storytelling, um, that person will encompass that external. External. Anyone else got anything else?
What about things like optometry and like foot doctor type things? Like I know somebody mentioned.
So I know we have a medic first aid personnel, but like, holistic wellness specialist, is that all in one? I believe a lot of us let me say this. I think I personally, I'll say it out loud since you mentioned it. Everyone's going to govern themselves. Like some folks are in our community, be like, I'm going to the doctor. Cool. Like I feel like everybody's going to move in that realm based on their own sensitivities or needs. Um, but I think it would be cool to have some type of like natural path, holistic person intentionally with us. I think that would be cool.
Natural
'Cause I
path.
think I know a lot of us, an assumption is that a lot of us do lean that way, even if that's like a step one before we want to go see some other specialist. What do y'all think about that? Calling in some like holistic health, naturopath type person,
Like
chiropractor.
chiropractors,
Yeah,
acupuncturists.
yeah.
Yeah.
You feel good?
Yeah, I agree. That's what I meant I just that's my default for medical because I don't mess with Western medicine. So yeah, I think that's perfect.
Okay.
Sound healing like provides that medicine too. Um,
This is fun, y'all.
it is.
We dreaming.
Dreaming out loud.
Dreaming. We naming it. We naming it. We building it. We speaking it into existence.
Had to hug on Cynthia the other day.
I think our next, I ain't gonna overshoot it like we done already, but I know that when we've had, and I don't know, I know some y'all are co-housing as well. I don't know how many other people have tried it before, but I think the biggest thing that I run into or that we've run into regarding personnel is extended members or extended family or extended friends. And I think that's kind of where we're logically going to go next. Now that we're naming the personnel that we need, the skill sets we need, now it's okay, who fits the bill? And that's what we're learning more and more every iteration, every turn of community. It's some situations where one person might be in, but then the spouse or the boyfriend or the significant other, the partner is not in at all. And having that distinguished like understanding of, hey, this community, you have to be of this community, this culture to be a part of this piece of land that we're stewarding and this concept that we're bringing to life. And I'm only saying that just because we're not dealing with it right now, but it's in our face right now. So yeah, I just wanted to lay that down as we kind of carve out the duties that we're going to be needing to steward the land and be sufficient. Like now we need to go ahead and spin this right into personnel and having some kind of standardized metric for, and that's kind of where I'm just picking up on what we have for the 87 acres. It's kind of similar to what we're already doing now with collectively sustainable. People got to come in. Their minimum requirement is, an authentic dialogue. You got to finish your courses and then you got to execute your courses. And that puts you into a steward. So we're already there partially. I think once we get into the communal aspect and really living on land, again, I think we need to extend it a little bit more. We need to have more of a threshold of like trial and error.
So that's onboarding. You're speaking of onboarding, right?
Yeah. Is that next?
That is next.
I have some things.
Okay.
But to follow up what I hear you saying is it sounds like you believe that if we, when we find our people, that we have to be mindful to make sure that the people know that their family members or people that they invite also to be in the space with us. Are you saying that they must be in alignment with the culture that we're creating as well, and that they must
1,000%, 100,000%, because we already know how important it is to deprogram from the system. So we're creating this new system, this new paradigm. The people who are coming in, if you're a visitor, okay, cool, come on in and see how it is. But if you're somebody staying there, you're living there, you're benefiting from the people in the culture in that space, you need to be of the culture, 1,000%. And even when like I know some people are like, we've had community members who have children, but that they're grown in their 20s. And it's like they see them as children still. No, that's a grown man. That grown man if he coming here to this property, he gotta be of the culture of this property. He's not gonna come in.
So you're talking about, you jumping ahead, of course. because that's important. That's important. That's more like, yeah, that's like agreements, things that need to be named to keep our community like, because this is an experiment. We got to keep it tight. You know what I mean? We got to keep it tight because it's an experiment. We're moving with intention. This isn't just anywhere you
Right.
live in, and it can be you're coming into this and you got to live
All
by
in.
that. Yeah, you got to understand we're going in a certain direction that everybody got to be going in that same direction.
That's what
I think all that's very important as well. All right, so now that's in our awareness, so we'll definitely bring it back when we get into like the onboarding slash whatever guide, like what the guidelines or whatever for our community. You know, that's going to be there.
But that's the skill that I picked up on that he was naming. So
you were naming that as a skill, or
am I hearing you correctly, Nature? It sounded like you were naming that there's a skill of like onboarding or welcoming anyone.
Oh
like committees.
no.
That's more
Okay.
like
Yeah,
committee.
no. I was
Okay.
I was jumping ahead. I was
Okay.
just I was jumping ahead.
Okay.
So anybody, what's up? What else we got? Anybody, what skills do we need to make this truly, the collectively sustainable village that is in alignment with our culture statement and our shared values?
So
Joy,
what's
adaptable, liberation, authentic dialogue, sacred ecology, collective care.
you
Mello
said
said
what
something.
you said what skills?
Yeah, what's another skill that we need to be in alignment with those things?
I mean, I think everybody should have systems thinking.
Mm.
So what comes to mind, I struggle with the everybody part. I struggle with the everybody part on any of these because we're talking about like we need at least at this point of what we're talking about like what's the one skill that someone needs. But if we want to say a systems thinker, I can raise my hand because that's, one of my lanes. Obviously, I think it's one of yours too. So is that cool? Like a systems thinker?
Yeah. It's definitely a skill that's for anybody. I think they'll probably be more aligned in the education field. I guess we could teach systems thinking, but systems thinking is something I ain't gonna say everyone should have, but everyone should kind of develop. I think we should put some focus on that to everybody to adapt that mentality because that could go into either role.
Yeah, it applies to like everything that we're going to be doing and every way that we're going to be living. And of course, we all are walking, breathing systems. To me, I feel like you're also talking about, getting into the realm of like the agreements and guidelines and committees and some of that lane of like onboarding, et cetera, like those things that we're going to be exposing people to when they onboard, like with systems thinking being one of those things. But I put like one systems thinker. Is that cool, Mello? You think that makes sense how I framed that, or do you want to add something else or bring some more clarity?
So one system thinker per plot. What you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's in my range of tolerance. Yeah.
Okay. Per 10 to 25 people is how we're thinking about it now.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate you bringing that in because that's one of my major, it's been very meaningful in my development and my journey is learning systems thinking.
Likewise.
I almost thought, when he named it, it could go under values, like as, and the things that, when you say you don't think there should be shoulds, I agree, but we have values that keep us in alignment with who we are, and those are kind of like shoulds in a way, our values. And with systems thinking, like the ability to be able to process your system first, like that's what I read the first few paragraphs of the systems thinking book, to be able to process yourself first. I think that's a very valuable skill set that I kind of agree with Mello that falls under values. Like it's something that feels necessary for us to learn.
All right. So with the sake of me having to be this facilitator, to move things forward, I hear that. And I feel like, we agreed that all of those values and things were good enough for now, safe enough to try. But I'm definitely open to the next time we open that up, like throwing that in to like it probably fits under something we already have. In terms of the values. Anyone want to name something else? Oh, hey, Deirdre. Deirdre just joined us. I know that she's traveling.
Hey, it's great to be here and great to see your faces. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't show you mine.
That's okay. I know you're traveling. I expect you to jump on. But we got about a little more than 30 minutes left. We've made a lot of headway. What we're doing now is we're naming the roles and the personnel needs per 10 to 25 people. So if you still have the steward group phases doc.
Okay, folks, at this time right now, they're talking with the company.
So yeah, I know you're in transit, Deirdre, so I know you're probably just more so listening in. So glad to have you. Okay, so let's see. Anything else anyone could think of? I feel like we good. This good for now. I know of course we can always add to if things come to it, but we have a pretty comprehensive list here. Pretty comprehensive list. All right, I guess everybody's clear. Anybody want to say anything about all right, so here's what I'm thinking, right? Couple things. I'm feeling like, we can just kind of maybe bring it home on this and not get into anything new because we only have like 30 minutes left. So I'm thinking my proposal is that we start closing it out from here. Does anyone feel differently? Like, nah, let's get up into the next thing, or should we bring fresh energy into the I'm proposing we bring, the next time we meet, fresh energy into the onboarding conversation versus starting now. Is there more energy towards continuing to go ahead and starting onboarding, even if we just start it for 30 minutes versus bringing it home now? That's
Fresh energy sounds easy.
Hey, I feel like we here, man. I feel like 30 more minutes, man. We can knock out some quality work in 30 minutes.
all right. Kanisha said she's good with the fresh energy vibe that I proposed. Lawrence is saying he got 30 in him to start something new. Can some other folks chime in on where you at? Let's see where the majority of the energy is. How y'all feeling?
Yeah, I got 30 more minutes in me as well.
I'm sorry. Kanisha was talking while you were talking, Mello.
Okay. I said I got 30 more minutes in me as well.
All right, that's plus
Or at
2.
least we could start on something else.
Okay. Where you at, Ashley?
I agree. 30 more minutes. Let's go ahead.
Okay. So I guess I'll say for anybody that does need to, step off to conserve, please do what you need. All right. So the next thing we were going to jump into was village planning. I'm sorry, onboarding for the whole village planning and village living onboarding. Because like Lawrence already mentioned, we got the collectively sustainable now onboarding process, but for this process, we're thinking about something a little bit more robust. The other thing that I was going to say is, I don't got to facilitate every time. I just want to put that out there. If anybody else feels some energy around facilitating, even in the now, I want to pass it off. Anybody got some facilitate energy for this part?
What if we just change up the style, man? We just let it flow. We recording it anyway, so we don't need to necessarily have anybody document the minutes. But maybe we can all just kind of brainstorm. I guess that's what we're doing right now anyway. Um, just to fill up the space and kind of continue with the conversation in the same spirit that we're in. So I say let's just change up the facilitation strategy.
Okay. I'm still going to write it. But I was just saying,
Okay.
like, kind of how I'm the one that's be like, okay, who you next? You, I see you jump in. Like, I could step back from that. I could do it too, but I just want to check in. Like, if anybody's like, you know what, I want to jump in. I'm open to, and even like the next meetings, I just wanted to say, I'm cool if other people feel some energy around wanting to facilitate. I just want y'all to know I don't feel like I got to do it every time. I just want to say that.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. So I'll keep it rocking. Who wants to start sharing some ideas?
Okay. So I will just share the premise that we already had constructed years ago when we were purchasing 87 acres. And the whole premise was, and this is rough, I'm trying to pull it together now. So the whole premise was the stewardship center, right? It's still at the center. So at that time, it was just one stewardship center, it was ours. And the basic framework is for 6 months, the candidate who was trying to be on the list for the intentional community had to meet their minimal goals, and that was to participate in, let's say, X amount of hours of boots on the ground work. So actually helping a farm or a stewardship center or then whatever, and they really have to quantifiably go out and put in this much work at this space to kind of become either A, knowledgeable of how to work the land, or B, like showing proof of their um, knowledge of working the land. So it's kind of like a checkoff box. I also think that that's where the more intentional aspects of authentic dialogue come into play, to where we might even make it to where, and I know this is kind of like difficult maybe for some people, but I think to be able, like you're saying now, Sunjata, to even possibly facilitate, even if it's just the opening aspect of our conversations or our dialogues, maybe that's a part of your requirement too. I'm not set in stone, but I know within like leadership training, understanding your voice and understanding how to speak up and kind of just say your piece is important too. And I think facilitating again is one of those things. Facilitating authentic dialogue is a core construct of our community, and I think that needs to be one of those things that gets checked off as well. So to be able to facilitate, even if it's just for 15 minutes in authentic dialogue or a conversation of any capacity, was one of the things we had as well. I believe that that was the base work of what we had was just 6 months. You had to do so many courses within that timeline, and then you were eligible to be selected to kind of move to that intentional community space. Like everybody got to vote on who comes here. And again, that's kind of where the onboarding comes in because a lot of people, again, that we've had the pleasure of building community with, sometimes it's just the case where one of the people might have been way into it and the other one not so much. Or, maybe both of the partners were into it, but the eldest son was a hellion. And it's like, that can't come in the community because they ain't respecting nobody. He's not respecting, the process, but he's 18, 19, 20. And it's kind of like those things really just come up naturally. And I think that's just where, again, we're going to have to really start to lay down more of an intentional framework about like, again, this next step means everybody has to do it to a certain degree. Maybe not children under 13, but if you got a 16-year-old that's 6 feet and 200 pounds already, he might need to go through the authentic dialogue training as well. He might need to know about emotional intelligence as well. He might need to know how this process works as well. So I'm just throwing that out there just from the top of my head.
So based on everything I heard you say, what I felt into is for the ongoing onboarding process, we could have Sunjata's co-creating a thriving family culture as a part of the onboarding process so that each families are practicing that framework prior to moving into the community.
Do I need to share a little bit about how that rocks?
I was gonna say if you already got it, and I know this gold, but yeah, go ahead and let us know more about it.
So basically, each family, so it's like basically duplicating what we're doing on a larger scale at the micro scale. So in each family unit, in each living dwelling, people are doing the same things that we're doing as a community in order to communicate, collaborate, and resolve conflict peacefully and effectively. So the way that looks, based on what we have set up, for example, is each family has their own culture, family culture statement and family shared values and family check-in meetings. And in their family check-in meetings, um, using the spirit of authentic dialogue, they are talking about the ways that they're showing up in their interpersonal and practical lives in that dwelling that are either aligned or misaligned with their family culture statement and shared values. And then they are working through a process of continuing to coming up with agreements of what things they need to try, practice, get good at, and implement. And that's like a 4-step phase towards remaining aligned and accountable to who they see themselves being for one another. And each time they meet, they talk about those things that are misaligned and what they agree to practice and try as a solution, and talk about how it's going, making iterations. And if it's going well, they're moving it from trying it to practicing. And then the next meeting, talk about it again. If it's going well, move it from practicing to getting good at it. If it's not going well, or if it still needs some practice, leave it in practice. And there's a bunch of different awarenesses that, people talk about and move along this process from getting good at it to ultimately integrate it. Does that make sense? Or are there any questions? I know I just did a quick overview, but let me know if y'all have any questions.
My biggest question right now is, and I know I'm just overshooting. I already really planned for you to already have that in mind, so Josh. So thank you for being on par, being exactly who you're supposed to be. Uh, what about scalability? How do we ensure quality control? How do we ensure that these folks are meeting these benchmarks? And yes, okay, good, y'all did a great job. Y'all checked in. Like, how does that look in your mind if we had 50 families
Yeah.
all now specifically doing their own personal family culture statements?
Yeah. So, we can just check in with each other. You know what I mean? When we do the training, we train people, we help them come up with these statements. And then it's just as a practice, this is a constant thing where we're checking in with each other. We're gonna be in relationship with each other. So if there's people are bringing stressors that they're having in their household out to the community, that's one of the first things we're gonna check in. How's your family check-in meetings going?
Yeah.
Do y'all need support with that? So it's gonna be different ways that we're always gonna be kind of tapped into each other. And also, we're going to be modeling it at a larger scale, bringing in some of the things that Mello brought with sociocracy. There's a way to take this into our community meetings, take a very similar process into our community meetings and our community circles where we're going through the same process. So it's going to duplicate out in that way.
Gotcha.
I would like to add with the to the process that he already has, and we discussed this, to implement decolonize nonviolent communication with that process. So, and that's something I could facilitate.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Decolonize nonviolent communication, adding that to the co-creating the thriving family culture process. As a
Decolonize nonviolent communication.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a training like alternate dialogue training?
Mm-hmm. Tracy just did it. She didn't do decolonize, but I pretty much added like the little nuance between decolonize and
I see. Thank you for your comment in the chat, Deirdre. Definitely agree. So what I hear, let me know if anyone has any questions about this, need any clarifying questions, because basically what Kenesha is proposing is that this flow, this co-creating a thriving family culture flow, are we saying it's something that if you agree to be in this community, you're agreeing to do with your family on a consistent basis?
Yes.
Like, for example, right now we do it in our, like, Shani and I do this in our one-to-one relationship. Then Kenesha, Shani, and I do this in our adult relationship as co-housing relationship.
And I do it with Ken.
Kenesha does it with Ken, and then we do it with the children as well. So, we space it out in different time frames, but then like the whole family unit does it together, adults and children. We have a meeting for that too. So like I do this to manage a lot of my relationships, this whole process to manage a lot of my relationships. So Kenesha's proposing that people that opt in are opting in to being intentional, because the whole thing about this is like being intentional about making sure that we're communicating, collaborating, and resolving conflict proactively
Mhm.
and effectively, right? We're humans. Not always going to be peaceful. Things are going to get rocky and ugly at times, but this kind of always brings us back to anchor us together. This process, even when things get nasty and ugly at times, this process always brings us back to what the core, who we say we're being for one another based on our shared values and our culture statement. That's what makes this a beautiful process. So I want to know, based on those of us who are gathered here right now, is there anyone who has any resistance towards making this a requirement that people agree to learn and do if they're going to live in our community?
I don't have any resistance, but I do have a question on, I understand that this process is built to like keep the family understanding their roles and kind of intact. But how then do we make sure that family is understanding the roles within community? So like we have said, like Lolo's about to be 17. I ask him this question every year, like, what do you see yourself? Do you see yourself like living like we're living right now? And he's like, no, I want a condo in Atlanta, and respect that.
Mhm.
But if ever he decided that he wanted to live within our community, he understands that there's things that he will have to opt into the culture. So
Mhm.
how do we make sure that the families are, I guess, teaching the culture of the community? Like, is that something that can be added in that framework, or how would that look?
And like go ahead. Oh, am I hearing you say like, how do we make a decision that this is a requirement versus something that like, because we have like a lot of tolerance around a lot of things. So how do we differentiate the tolerance that we have around a lot of things versus this is a metric and it is a standard of alignment or whatnot that is needed in order to be a part of this culture. And then I hear you, Lawrence, speaking. I heard, and I heard, speaking to that tolerance that we have. So how do we navigate and mold the space of having tolerance and acceptance for people with like the fact that we're going to need like a growth mindset in order to um, grow interconnected together in the ways and be collectively sustainable in the ways that we desire. So it's like a bridge. It is like for me, a person who like love people, want to accept people, a bridge between, but this is a standard of alignment that's needed for, community. So I hear like, how do we bridge that gap between like acceptance and growth mindset?
So based on my interpretation of all of that and your question, Ashley, I think that that's what we're talking about right now. I think, let's say in the example you gave, Melo's going to go through the 6-month flow. I'm
Mhm.
not Melo, Lolo.
Mhm.
Lolo will have to go through the 6-month flow. As in a young adult, it'll be like, all right, you gotta get this authentic dialogue training, you gotta get this decolonized nonviolent communication training, you gotta get this co-creating thriving family culture training. All those things are what's going to decide and help them determine if they're in alignment with what we do and who we are. And then also, we're going to have a similar like community check-ins as a community whole where people can send. The way I'm imagining it is, not it's going to be opt-in. I think it'll be more like an opt-in thing. Anyone can come to the community meeting, or we'll do some type of like sociocracy thing, depending on how big we get, where there'll be like smaller meetings that lead into like a larger meeting type thing, where there'll be like representation for the interests of this like corner over here. Let's say Lawrence is coming and he has all the things they met about in their smaller meeting type of thing. But yeah, we'll have a similar community-wide check-in meeting that is going to be like our governance,
Mhm.
our governance engine.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then with all else fails, man, it's still like got to be voted on. So they just made themselves eligible to move in because they passed the whole 6-month trial period and they're good, but they still like the community that they're desiring to live in still gets to say, yeah, you fit the space. We already heard about you, or hey, come do a trial week here and let us fill you out. So that's just framework that I've been following with other intentional communities that I've been studying over the years, and that's kind of how they framed it up as well.
Yeah.
So I got a proposal for something I would like to propose that's included in this flow. Um, so similar to when I studied One World Global,
Mhm.
they have a very, very robust um, website that has like all of their processes and belief systems and agreements, and they're like, you got to read all of that but to even be considered. And one of the things that I want to propose that can be on that like curriculum is the tools of liberation. Shani wrote a series based on my theory of indivisibility that had the tools of oppression and relationships. And then now she's working on tools of liberation in relationships. And I think that people should have to read and go through like some type of um, course where someone is training that. We're meeting with people and it's like, okay, this time we're talking similar to how we get free Sundays. I'm like, when we come together this week, we're talking about this particular article on how, this tool of oppression impacts relationships. And there's some type of training type flow around each of those tools of oppression, tools of liberation. So people have that anti-oppression and liberation language and knowledge and lens that that's truly been they've accepted, so that we know that they've gone through a process to kind of feel through all that stuff. Any feedback on that? How's that landing on y'all? Kind of like a
Yeah,
curriculum
it
tool.
sounds like a cohort. I know
Yeah.
we talked about stewardship centers being broken into cohorts and that being the way that we can have that quality control measurement. Um, but yeah, I think like that would have to be the same function for somebody who's looking to join an intentional community, a physical space. Then it's the same kind of cohort. Maybe it's every 3 times, maybe it's 3 times a year that we accept people, or maybe it's twice a year because it's 6 months a year, and then you got to roll it, and it's just so many people per cohort. But I think that's going to be the best way to approach it, and not try to go so fast and so big, but be more intentional about who we're selecting, and actually having some kind of cohort system to where we're still in person talking about things like that in a conversation base that we've been doing. So it's kind of like literally doing exactly what we've been doing and just keeping with the same flow.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm bringing into, like, that's right now we've been working through the podcast elements of the theory of indivisibility, but that's where I'm going next. I'm going right into those articles next in our How We Get Free Sundays. So like you said, it just be a continuation. So is there anyone that has any resistance or any clarifying questions or any objections they want to name around me proposing that we add that to the initiation, as Deirdre put it, in the chat, or as Lawrence has put in as a part of the curriculum for that cohort, those cohorts of people that are going to be moving through. All right. So I'm gonna add that in. Tools of.
So that last one, that tools of liberation. So just so we're almost in sync with everything, because I think that's how we're building everything out. I think that we also need to ensure that our facilitators are also of the community spirit as well. So if this is going to be something that Shani is presenting to Collectively Sustainable, I think she needs to come through the same training like everybody else to be a part of Collectively Sustainable in a whole way. So that way we're really living what we're talking about. So our facilitators are our members, and we can ensure that they have the best interests of the community because they are us. We are each other. So just to kind of nail that down as well, just to make sure.
Indeed.
So, I like what IC.org wrote or around like naming qualities we want in members. That's what I hear you speaking to. So is that something that we want to name within like, or would that be in the same like vein as what our values are?
And can you repeat that one more time?
I was saying, so IC.org has like under their fifth class process, membership process syllabus, there's the part around difficult yet important conversations where they name that we want to know qualities that we want in members. So I was wondering, would that run around the same vein as our values? alignment, or could we specifically name like things that we feel are important
Where do you see
qualities?
like what are some of the qualities they name?
No, it's just in
Difficult yet important conversation. Qualities you want in members.
limits of diversity, Asian.
I think our values speak to that for sure.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Maybe.
That's what I'm hearing. Like that's the values, like collaborative, all those things that we named already. I think that's enough to be kind of our system.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they got to share our values and opt into our processes and agreements.
Yep.
I feel like that's going to
I think that
a lot.
Yeah.
And even going through the 6-month flow is going to filter out a lot of folks.
Yeah. Or it's going to change it to where we're setting the bar, and then we're getting the quality of people where it's affecting the change, and a lot of people are coming into the culture ready to receive it and ready to kind of make that change. And I think we're going to see a lot of that too. I think right now how we've been moving, we've been trying to filter people out. I think now it's going to be like just setting the structure so that as they come in, they're immersed in it and they can feel themselves in it. And they're not opting out. They're really like, nah, this is the change I need to make because these folks are living how I want to live. So yeah, I really see this as being beneficial. Just people, folks got to put skin in the game, and we just again just knowing that over the years, organizing and being intentional. Money isn't everything, but time is, and some folks, if you can't make the time for it, you might not be ready for the shift in totality. And we just have to set the benchmark somewhere, and that 6 months and those mental, spiritual concepts that you have to break free of and reevaluate and reorganize yourself in. We're saying it's going to be paired with the holistic aspect of working the soil too. So you need to go to that garden one-on-one class. You need to go to that food preservation class. You need to go to that animal husbandry class. And that's, again, part and parcel of the stewardship center concept. So as I was asking you how we were going to vet and you were saying it, I was already just saying it. Like that's where the stewardship center comes in again as that filtration system. So all those classes, that stewardship center can only be the stewardship center because it took, the authentic dialogue class and took all of our framework so it can house the culture and they'll be the ones that first say, yeah, this is a good candidate for y'all's community. You know what I mean? They should go to y'all's, extra cohort, or please that. So I see it. It's vivid. I love it.
Appreciate that, Lawrence. Under tools of oppression and tools of liberation, I am seeing some trauma-informed care, but I think that we also can name that it would be vital to have specific trauma-informed learning coming into the community, to be trauma-informed. I think that can differentiate that space of tolerance versus like growth mindset. Like, well, this causes an impact to trauma, and trauma is something we're trying to get away from. So, yeah. So maybe trauma.
Any clarifying questions? Clarifying questions or any objections to consenting to having a specific trauma-informed training as a part of the 6-month flow? We got 10 minutes. I was about to turn AC on, but I'm like, we only got 10 minutes now. You probably gonna go upstairs, right? All right. So
Yeah, I think that sounds good, man. We just got, again, nuts and bolts, figure out how to nail it down, figure out how that template of the cohort goes. And I think everything else is going to be fairly simple.
All right. So we got trauma-informed training added to the list of the 6-month flow. And then I heard you mention something, Lawrence, about after the 6-month cohort, then there's some type of visit type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So 6-month cohort, and then a site visit.
Because
site visit and / staying, like they need to stay with us for like a week or two, or some type of probationary period type of thing. I think like something I'll propose like maybe like a week to 2 week long visit where they stay in one of our we'll have some visitation like living quarters that folks can stay in. for like 2 weeks and just immerse themselves in the flow. And then even beyond that, I'm thinking even maybe that'll do it, right? So they get two weeks of immersion. Do we want like another layer of like 30 to 90 day like buffer
Yeah.
before they say,
Yeah.
okay, well, I think that might be necessary too. 2 week
Yeah.
visits,
Yeah.
then move in. But when you move in, there's like a 90-day buffer where it's like, I mean, I'm really determining if I'm gonna stay. And then after 90 days, it's like, I'm in it, I'm in it. This is comfortable, it feels aligned, and I'm aligning with y'all for the long term. Or, again, this is a free space. We want people to be able to come as they come and go as they want, but like some type of like agreement of being involved with maybe some of the decision making parts. Like I remember with CGE, it was like, yeah, you're like rocking with us and you're here, but you still can't be a part of the decision making processes just yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Something like that. So Deidre just said like 2 weeks and then go home, think about it. So that's again some of the framework that I learned from Twin Oaks and Dancing Rabbit. Like people came because it's a waiting list. Let's be for real. Like this is something we're building that's going to topple any other thing that's been built before because we're building it with the community in mind, or this time and space that we're in. So we're going to eventually be the bee's knees. We're going to be the one that everybody's looking for, and we got to also understand that, yeah, you got this many weeks to think about it, but maybe, when you do come in, yes, it's a probationary period. Just like any job, any placement, 90-day probationary period for your sake and the people around you who get to again vote to say, yeah, I solidify that was a good person. We chose a good one. Come on in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so alongside the 90-day trial period, I'm thinking like some type of buddy system, like there's something I saw on chat. And it's something I remember doing when I went to Hawaii, where there was a buddy system where someone had to guide me around the first week that I'm there. And then we check in after that, how's it going? So also I'm thinking about like welcoming, like ritual type thing, ceremony. So welcoming rituals for people who come into the community so they can feel invited, welcomed.
So then after the 90-day probationary period, like a welcoming ritual, welcoming ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyone feel any resistance to that or have any clarifying questions around that?
Sound good.
All right. So we got the 6-month cohort flow. We got the 2-week site visit, the 90-day probationary period, followed by like community vote.
Participation.
For now, I'm gonna write vote, y'all, but can we come up with another word?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like community, like acceptance, consent, consent to join. Can I do that?
Community consent.
Okay, community consent to join. Dialogue.
Deidre said, can we find another word for probationary period as well?
Yes. Please. I was thinking that too. Thank you for naming.
Period. How y'all like trial period or
90-day exploration?
Exploration. Yeah, exploration.
Okay. Exploration period. Yes, please. Let's get rid of all that,
Yes.
all that legal jargon, conventional legal jargon stuff. All right. And then welcome consent to join dialogue. And then welcome and ceremony. So yeah, 90-day expiration period, community consent to join, dialogue, and then welcoming ceremony. All right, so that's that as of now, that's our onboarding process, y'all. How y'all feel about that? We got it done? The whole meeting?
Safe enough to try.
Yeah, I was like, good enough for now, safe enough to try. Obviously, there's gonna be more work done to building it out. But we know, we got people here that's gonna do that because folks already raised their hand to be a part of that committee. So yeah, we already got the steward group who's gonna build these things out. All right, y'all. So I think this is a good place to bring it home to land this plane with 5 minutes to go. Man, we moving, y'all. We building it. We building it. Any closing words? What you leaving our time together feeling? How you leaving feeling? Anybody could jump in if you have anything you want to share.
I'm loud right now.
Beautiful, man. I'm just happy. Go ahead, Kanisha.
I was trying to hold it in. I'm ecstatic. I feel ecstatic. I'm ready. Bliss. Like,
Yeah,
let's
Yeah,
go.
I'm confident. I'm confident in us. So
yeah,
it's a great
yeah.
feeling. That's what I was looking for. Like-minded, like spirited people. Yeah, this is dope.
Love
Yeah,
it.
I say,
Oh, go ahead,
man,
Elvin.
go ahead. Okay. Okay, so I was just gonna say, like, it's been a long time. We've been doing this for a long time, and this is the best I've ever felt. It's more secure I've ever felt, and yeah, man, it's exciting. It's exciting to actually cross this threshold, and it's been a barrier for so long, and it feels like we're here now.
Indeed. Indeed. Theory says my heart is full. Yes, I feel accomplished. I feel like this is happening with ease. This is emerging. All the answers are emerging with ease. It's coming together. It's collaborative, and I feel optimistic and excited.
Beautiful.
Anybody else want to share before we hop off?
Yeah, I'm excited. It feels like a new journey. So, and I love, all of y'all and all of the energy that y'all given to this journey. So thank y'all.
Love it and love you too. All right, y'all. Until next time, I see y'all again in 2 weeks.
Out of this thing. Be rocking out of this thing.